No.
It did take a while, but it's not like they were cracking the whip and I was stuck in the studio with shackles and chains and things. It took a while because it was my first record with Deconstruction, who I love them. I think they're fantastic. Of course, I shouldn't let them know that. They'll be all wobbly-headed about it. And so there was a settling in period, and we had to decide what this album would be about. And I think what we all wanted it to be about was me, which is what we've ended up with, thankfully, and hence it's called Kylie Minogue. Because I worked with different producers, they weren't available when we clicked our fingers. So it took about 1.5 years, and then right when it was ready to be released, I was offered a role in the film Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I think the record company practically had kittens. You what? Yes, excuse me. Your album's coming out any second and you want to wait for 3 months? Yeah, I think it'll be really good if this film went. So they let me go, and that was another few months delay. So it almost was forever coming out. Oh yeah, I was incredibly impatient. I am incredibly impatient, and I had moments of panic where I was thinking, that's it, I'll be washed up, everyone will about me, it's just, I've made the wrong choice. But once I calmed down and realized that this was a good thing, it's been best for everyone, I think. For me, it allowed me to take time to get to know myself again, rather than just talking about living my life, just being forced into doing nothing for a while, because I'm quite a workaholic and I'll just keep going and going. I hope that I won't put those expectations upon myself, because my first album sold so many copies. There's so many copies of that really nasty picture all around the world. So I can't, I have to shift the placement of importance, and rather than being sales figures, I'm so pleased with my new album, and I'm pleased that it has respect and credibility, and people talk about it, and my peers listen to it. That's really important to me. I finally have reached a point where, you know, I'd buy it, I have to say. And I don't know if I truly would have said that about some of the songs I'd released before. And I think it gave the public a break. I truly believe they could have used a break from me for a while. And time for the album to grow and to give it time that I could get my personality into it. I did surprise myself pleasantly from time to time. And with all the things that I did on the album, I think I've never sounded the way I do on this album before. And I kind of knew that I could do it, but I just needed to work with people who would really encourage me and bring it out of me. And I think that collectively the producers really formed a safety net so that I could try a little bit more. I had more time. If it didn't work, I could do it again. Whereas I used to make albums in about 2 weeks, and you know, if you made a mistake, there wasn't that much you could do about it. It was out and in the stores before you knew it. There's a lot of mutual respect and good open communication, and they're very funny. They talk about me as the product or the artist, you know, and every time they're always very careful to say, you know, sorry Kylie, we're not talking about you like you're not here, but no. And it's just, things like that I think are really cute, you know, they don't need to say that. I talk about myself that way, but they they more or less force me into taking responsibility for myself, which is great and it's something I've always wanted. If it's a choice between album covers, which I did have when I was in Queensland doing a film, these album covers come through the fax machine and just with a note, we need to know, which one do you prefer? Of course, the first thing I do is give them a call. Hi, yeah. Listen, which one do you prefer? And I know that they know which one they like, but they won't tell me. They'll say, well, you know, it's real difficult, we can't make a choice, we're gonna think about it, or you make the decision. So, you see what I'm saying? They want to know what I think.
Yeah.
And that's great because it means that I'm placing a much greater bet and feel so much more involved in everything I do. It's just marvelous. Initially, within my 5-6 years with PWL, it's quite good. I feel like fate really took care of me, even though I didn't realize it at the time. At the time, into my second album, I was really trying to break out of the mold, that production line mold, and we were all going along and doing the same thing. But I couldn't, and even until maybe by the third album, the only thing that I could get my hands on was my image. So damn it, I had it in my hands. So that's why the image took on such a drastic change all of a sudden, because that's the only place I had control. And it was a time in my life where that's what I was going through. I was in the clubs a lot, I was going out with a rock and roller. I was rebelling against everything that I'd had to do before, wearing, looking like I was in a soap commercial or something. Bright colors and smile. So I was, maybe it was a bit childish and maybe I did go too far, but I don't regret it because I had to get it out of my system. And so now, we're all, and I mean Deconstruction and I, that we're all far more content's not quite the right word, it seems a bit complacent or something, but just we're more assured of where we are. And I dare say I've adopted some of their arrogance in a good way. That's what I was attracted to them. That's one of the reasons. They had a good game plan and they were really sure of themselves. And they're teaching me some good lessons. I tend to be kind of Miss Professional. It's just in my system. I grew up doing TV and that's what you become. You don't like not to be professional. So it's good that they just give me a bit of an edge. I haven't found that being a woman has made it more difficult for me in this industry, but then I had quite a magical entrance. Most cases, a girlfriend of mine, she's wanting to sign with a record company and she has to, the heads of the record company say, well, we could discuss this over dinner, and, so I'm thinking, for a lot of women, I'm sure it is very difficult and they get treated like, they have half the intelligence or whatever, but I haven't come across it, and I'm very proud being a woman in this industry and having quite a lot of power and quite a lot of clout. But then again, I'm an outrageous flirt. I like to have the doors open. So I use being a woman in this industry. Why shouldn't I? That's what I am. You have to be strong in this industry for sure, because it's a madhouse. It's so unreliable, and you can be everything one day and nothing the next. But I don't like to try and emulate a man in this industry. I like to be a strong woman in the industry. first TV I did was when I was 9 or 10. And, which makes it sound like I've got a kind of show-busy family, but not at all. My mother had an acquaintance who was working in the casting department of a production company, and she asked if my mother could bring in my sister and I, my younger sister Danny and I, for an audition. So we went in, and neither of us got the part, but I got a different role in a different show. And that was that, and I didn't do anything else until I was 16, which was great because by that stage I was old enough to make the decision myself. Wasn't my mother saying, "Come on, darling." And so from 16, 17 I was working in television as well as finishing my schooling. And then I finished school and started in Neighbours. If I look at the glass as being half empty, then I can think about a lot of different things that I missed out on. Going to university, like getting a backpack and just schlepping my way around the world. But I think I've gained a whole lot more. And that's only because I tend to see the glass as half full. You know, if I think about how much privacy I've lost, and people know so much about me, they know so much about me that isn't true, and have a painted picture that might be true, might not be true. If I was to tally those losses, I'd probably have a Jack Daniels in my hand and be like... I'm pretty good at telling. Most people are incredibly obvious, although they have no idea that they are being so obvious. But I think as far as meeting potential boyfriends go, probably if there was someone that I'd quite like to say hello to, he might be a bit intimidated by me or by what I represent or whatever. And it will be the guy that I really didn't want to talk to that comes up. "Oh, I think you're really great." Thanks. But I really like meeting people when they know nothing about me, which isn't very often, but in the depths of America, it happens, and it's great. I could be in a department store and someone might come up and say, "Miss, do you know where the lingerie section is?" "Oh, sorry, I don't work here." I don't really mind so much what someone does, but we're talking about men, but they have to, I don't know, maybe it's because my life is so full anyway, and I meet so many interesting people, that they would have to be very powerful within themselves, or like, it could be a penniless director. Doesn't have to have wealth, but someone that has a similar level of power, and someone with charisma and presence, and someone that makes me laugh. I need to find someone, or I'm attracted to people who don't let me get away with all my tricks. Who don't let me get away with everything. And you think, oops, they've got me.